So, you may not know this, but a cruise ship is... Hey sailors, welcome back to Cruising as Crew. I am Lucy, and today I'm going to be going through some of the things that cruise lines will be looking for in potential employees. So the things I'm going to mention you definitely want to take into consideration while writing your CV and your application letter for any job on a cruise ship. But before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed, everyone who is liking and commenting on my videos, and also people who are DMing me on Instagram video suggestions, things that they would like to see. I love making these videos, but obviously it's getting harder to come up with content because I'm not on a cruise ship. It's going to be a lot easier when I go back on board because there will be content literally everywhere. But for now, while I am at home, I really appreciate you letting me know what you want to see. And also, it ensures that I'm making videos that you actually want to watch. There's really no point in me making videos that you're not interested in. So if you do have something that you want me to do a video on, then please go over to my Instagram at Cruising as Crew and send me a little DM with your video suggestions. But also, it has been a minute since I've done videos like this. For the past few weeks, I've been doing interviews with other crew members, and you guys seem to really like those. So if you have a particular job role that you want me to find a crew member to interview, then once again, let me know. Or even if you have any questions that maybe a crew member will be able to answer better than I will, then let me know what your questions are and I will try and find a crew member to quiz. But without further ado, let's get into this video. So, you may not know this, but a cruise ship is a floating hotel. Okay, no, but seriously, it's a floating hotel, which means that you are going to be interacting with people constantly. And I don't mean just passengers, I mean other crew members. So the most important thing, in my opinion, is being a people person. There is actually no point you going on a cruise ship if you hate people. It's just... you're wasting your time. You have to be a people person, you have to love people. Obviously, not all the time. There are going to be people that get on your nerves, but generally you have to enjoy being surrounded by people. Because if you don't, you're going to have a very hard time. And the thing is, you can be taught many things. You can be taught how to use a computer system. You can be taught how to solve a certain problem, but you cannot be taught to be a people person. So it's very important that you have that under your belt before you start. So when you are writing your CV, you want to make sure that you include things such as you take part in clubs. I know you're part of a running club, a chess club, a climbing society. You volunteer. It shows that, you know, you like to help people, you like to surround yourself with people and meet new people. So just put anything like that down on your CV that you've done, that just shows that you like to meet new people, you like to help people. You know, it's no good putting on your CV and your application letter, I like people. You have to have done something that proves that. So any voluntary work you've done, any clubs that you've been a part of, or whatever it is, put it on your CV because it shows that you are a people person. Now, actually, while I did just say that isn't something that can be taught, it isn't, but my people skills have definitely improved working on cruise ships. I've always loved people, but people skills is like anything. You have to practice to be good at it. So while you definitely have to have a base level, your people skills are 100% going to improve working on a cruise ship because you are going to be surrounded by people all the time. Now, going on from this, you also need excellent customer service skills. Being a people person definitely folds into this nicely, but customer service skills is something completely different. To have good customer service skills, you have to be able to listen, empathize, so put yourself in the customer's shoes, and do your best to solve whatever problem they are having. Now, the best way to ensure that your customer service skills are always on point is imagine that the people you are talking to are your parents or are your family. How would you want hotel staff to treat your mum and dad, to treat your sister, to treat your grandma? So imagine that you are talking to family, you're talking to someone's family. By doing that, you definitely become more personable, and it's almost easier to be more empathetic with them when you pretend that they're family. Anyway, it helps me. They might not even have an issue with the cruise. They might be having an issue back at home and they just chose to talk to you about it. if you have time, listen. And I honestly think the main skill within customer service is listening. Because half the time, these passengers don't actually want you to do anything. They just want someone to sound off to. And I think a lot of us forget that communication skills isn't just about being able to talk. 50% of communication skills is listening. We all know that person that we're having a conversation with and they won't let us get a word in edgeways. They don't have good customer service skills. And especially with customers, passengers, etc., it's almost more important to listen than to give advice. So when you are applying for a job or you are in your interview, whatever example you can give to show that you have great customer service skills will be noted. And also, you can show that you have good communication skills within an interview. Make sure you listen to the interviewer. Make sure you actually listen to the questions they are asking you. There's so many times when people get asked a question and they almost like half-ass the answer because they didn't actually fully listen to the question. So I cannot stress this enough. Listening is incredibly important within customer service. Because customer service is such a highly requested thing that cruise lines want from an employee, they are going to be looking for examples, which means that you will have had to have experience in a customer service environment. Whether you've worked as a shop assistant, whether you've worked in another hotel, whatever you've done, you have to have some kind of customer service experience. Being able to speak other languages. Obviously, working on cruise ships, you are going to meet so many people from all over the world, passengers and crew members. So the more languages you can speak, the better chance of getting a job. Saying that, I am kind of ashamed to say that I can only speak English fluently, so it's obviously not the be-all and end-all if you cannot speak a second language, but I'm just saying it's definitely going to up your chances of getting a job, especially in a guest-facing role if you have a second, third, fourth, fifth language. And it does make a huge difference. So when I was on my first ship, I actually got transferred halfway through my contract and I had to go to another cruise ship to finish my contract. Now the reason was the first ship that I was on was actually going over to South America, which meant that a lot of the passengers would be Spanish and Portuguese speaking, which meant that the crew had to be 90% Spanish and Portuguese speaking. I couldn't speak it. So that meant that I had to go on another ship where the passengers were predominantly English speaking and they would replace me with Spanish and Portuguese speaking crew members. So it does make a difference what language you can speak. As I said, that's the reason I got transferred. So the more languages you can speak, the better. Living away from home. Now, this is probably something that not many people think of, but speaking to recruiters, this is something that they definitely like to see. And that is if you have lived away from home before. Now, you may not need a degree, but it's nice to see if you have gone to uni away from home and you've lived away from home for 3 years, or maybe you did a year abroad or whatever, because it shows a multitude of things, but the main one being that you are happy to leave home. And you might be like, well, if you're applying for cruise ships, you know that you're going to have to live on a ship, so wouldn't that be obvious? Well, there are a lot of people who apply for cruise ships. Like myself, I applied for cruise ships having never left home before, so living on a ship was my first experience of living away from my parents' house. And a lot of people do this. Some people are like me and they get on board and they're like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. But a lot of people get on board and they're like, oh my god, I do not like being away from home for this long. Especially if you're doing a 9-month contract, you know, that is a long time to be away from home. And there is a lot of people that quit because they get on board and they realise actually they are not cut out for this. They don't want to be away from home. If a company has trained you up, paid for you to go on the ship, you know, they've invested quite a lot of money into you before you even got on board, then you get on board and you decide, actually, I really don't like this. It costs the company a lot of money. So if you have any proof that you are happy to live away from home for a long period of time, that will definitely be taken into consideration. So that might be university, that might be that you've gone backpacking, it might be that you've lived in another country for a year or so, even 6 months. Anything that can show that you are happy to live away from home. Now, of course, depending on what job you are going to do on board depends on if you need qualifications or not. So my first job on board was with the onboard spa with Steiner as a massage therapist. So that meant that I had to be a fully trained massage therapist. Yes, I needed to have previous qualifications. However, when I went to Harding Retail to work in the shops on board cruise ships, I didn't have to have any qualifications. I just needed experience with customer service, which I had obviously gained from doing jobs at home and also working in the spa on board cruise ships. So obviously take that into consideration. There are going to be some jobs that you need qualifications for, but the qualities I am mentioning in this video are additional to whatever qualifications you need to be able to do the job. So those are just a few things that the cruise lines are looking for when you apply for a job on board cruise ships. Obviously, if you don't have some of these, it's really not the end of the world, but I'm just saying if you do, then make sure you put it down on your application letter and your CV. You mention it in your interview because it definitely will be taken into consideration. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I really, really, really appreciate it. And if you could hit that subscribe button, it would mean the world to me. But I hope you have a great day. I hope quarantine is going all right and you're not going stir crazy. But I will see you in the next video, guys.